Mason Graham, defensive tackle from Michigan, one of the less polarizing players in this NFL draft class. Pretty much anyone you talk to considers this guy a top 10 pick. We got him number 5 overall on our Bears 100, and our guy Fran Duffy, All-City draft analyst, has him at number 7. This is just a really good player. He seems to have instincts, football IQ, explosive off the ball, and he fits what the Bears need, a gap-penetrating 3 technique who can learn under Grady Jarrett, who's 32 years old, still a really good player, but would be a great mentor for somebody like this just coming in the league and would instantly help the Bears with that rotation at the defensive tackle position, getting those waves of pass rushers. They don't always have to be on the outside. They can come from the inside too, and that's what Mason Graham does. He wins with low pads, has that leverage, very twitchy off the ball, and just seems to have a knack for knowing who he's going up against, winning those one-on-one battles, shooting those gaps, and getting into the backfield. For more on Mason Graham, let's go to our guy Fran Duffy, our All-City draft analyst.
Let's talk about one of the top defensive players in this 2025 NFL draft. That's Mason Graham from the University of Michigan. Defensive tackle, 6'3", just under 300 pounds. And this guy is a disruptor. He's so fast off the ball. And to me, his superpower, he just plays so damn hard. This guy's always going 100 miles an hour. I talked about that first step quickness, that ability to shoot gaps and get into the backfield. He can make plays against the run and against the pass. He's always around the football. The production really stands out on film. All of the efficiency metrics, you talk about pass rush win rate and pressure rate, he's very high across the board in a lot of those numbers. And when you're looking at Mason Graham, again, you talk about a guy that's always around the ball and disruptive. He's creating opportunities for others as well. Watching other players in that Michigan front, not just this past year, but even going back to a year ago, he's creating opportunities for others because of that disruptive playmaking ability. He was the MVP of the defense of the Rose Bowl last year, that national title win over Washington. He had that key run stuff late in the game. When you're looking at Graham, again, it's that two-way presence, to be the ability to impact the run game and the pass game. Honestly, the only knock you really have on Mason Graham, he's got 32-inch arms. That's going to be right near the 10th percentile of all defensive tackles drafted in the last decade. That less than ideal length does show up at times. He's not a pure stack and shed player where you're going to see him fully extend his arms, control the block, and shrug guys away. He's not a two-gap player in that way. But if you're talking about a player that can disrupt, cross-face, get into the backfield, play with great balance, body control, change of direction, and then close and finish, he's got that ability. Now, he's a great high school wrestler. He was a state champion wrestler, if memory serves. And that wrestling background, that does show up. So that allows him to kind of mitigate that lack of length and work past that a little bit. So I think that that's something that you can certainly hang your hat on with him moving into the NFL. If you can get past the lack of length, I think that this is a really high floor player, one of the quote-unquote safer players in this draft. I love the play personality. I love the quickness off the ball. I love the ability to just kind of finish and make plays in the backfield again against the run and against the pass. Probably more of your prototypical 3 technique tackle. He's not going to be a pure 2-gap guy, but in terms of that scheme versatility, anyone would love to have a player like Mason Graham up front on in their defensive line. You can find a spot for him. To me, one of the safer players, one of the more disruptive players in this 2025 NFL draft.
All right, so the obvious big concern when it comes to Mason Graham is the lack of arm length. It's kind of like Will Campbell on the offensive side. Seems to be a perfect prospect if he just had a little bit longer arms. Now, part of the reason why I'm not terribly worried about it, I think it's less important on the interior of the defense than it is when we're talking about Will Campbell playing left tackle on the offense. And I think both of these prospects check every other box where you can make an exception with the arm length. Mason Graham is so quick off the ball and still gets that low leverage that honestly there's very few times where the lack of arm length even shows up as an issue. Now, it will periodically if he's a little bit late off the ball or those offensive linemen are able to get the hands on him first. But he's going to win most of the times in terms of just being quicker off the ball. And I think that's why it's not really going to be a huge issue. So the bigger issue, when it comes to the Bears and Mason Graham, is that he's probably not going to be there at number 10 because he's so damn good at football. But if he is, Mason Graham is certainly somebody it's going to be hard to pass on if he's sitting there at number 10 for the Chicago Bears.